In David Lean's classic 1957 movie, The Bridge on the River Kwai, Alec Guinness plays the punctiliously correct English Colonel Nikhinson, leading his fellow prisoners of war in dutiful observance of a wartime code of honor.
You and that Colonel Nikhinson, you're two of a kind, crazy with courage. For what? How to die like a gentleman, how to die by the rules.
Colonel Nicholson's determination that they do as ordered by their Japanese captors and build a bridge that completes a critical section of the Rangoon to Singapore Railroad appalls his own men, but is matched only by his insistence that the Japanese also observe the laws of war on prisoner treatment.
You see, the code specifically states that the...
In 1994, some 50 years after Allied forces launched a bombing campaign to destroy the Death Railway, as it came to be known, the memory was still too much for many former POWs and those seeking forgiveness.
He came to see me from faraway Tasmania or Australia.
More than 100,000 people died during construction of the 400-kilometre railway line. And while Lean's movie, based on the novel by Pierre Boulle, is fictional, it does capture the lawless savagery of the Japanese Imperial Army, which tortured, starved, mutilated and murdered tens of thousands of British, Australian, American and other POWs in World War II, along with millions of civilians, of course. Meanwhile, the stiff, upper-lipped avatar of the Western liberal order insists on doing everything by the book, until, that is, Nikhinson belatedly realises that his scrupulous adherence to rules in the teeth of an existential global struggle is the short route to death and defeat.
The bridge on the River Kwai.
To date, there have been a total of 21 kinetic strikes on drug boats in our hemisphere, with 82 narco-terrorists killed.
Today, waging war according to legal principles seems designed to hobble us. While our enemies murder civilians wantonly, fly passenger planes into buildings, kill captured prisoners, and ship poison to our shores that ruins innocent lives, we play by a code of conduct, that nebulous thing we have reified as international law.
Our operations in the Southcom region are lawful under both U.S. and international law, with all actions in compliance with the law of armed conflict.
That's why I suspect most people aren't troubled by what the US military has been doing in the Caribbean the past 3 months. They should be.
I think the video was very disturbing.
Now, it certainly isn't for a newspaper columnist to second-guess the decisions of military personnel when it comes to targeting these so-called narco-terrorists in the Caribbean.
Admiral, General, what's your message to the American people?
But we should hope that full investigations, congressional and presumably within the military itself, will get to the truth.
The president had the courage to designate these cartels as designated terrorist organizations.
But of even more dubious legality than the so-called double tap is the casus belli for the deployment of our military in this action in the first place.
How do you treat Al-Qaeda and ISIS? Do you arrest them and treat them, pat them on the head and say, don't do that again? Or do you end the problem directly by taking a lethal, kinetic approach?
But Al-Qaeda and ISIS members don't land on US shores to sell products to Americans willing to buy them.
They've been sending enough of this horrible fentanyl and other things to kill our entire nation.
And we have domestic laws and interdictory capabilities to deal with the scourge of illegal drugs entering the country. We also have something called Article 1 of the Constitution. That vests war powers in Congress.
Is this a war? If it's a war, how come we don't have a war powers resolution? If it's not a war, how come you're able to kill people?
The principal problem with the deliberate erosion of a lawful and moral basis for dealing with those who want to harm us isn't what it does to them, it's what it does to us.
Admiral Bradley and the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff did the right thing.
Enemies, properly identified, deserve to be destroyed. If they're lucky, they get to live. But we owe them nothing more than the most minimum levels of protection.
What I saw in that room was one of the most troubling things I've seen in my time in public service. You have two individuals in clear distress who were killed by the United States.
The reason we live by laws and wage war by rules isn't for their benefit, it's because it's the defining characteristic of our civilization. It is what makes us different from, and yes, superior to, our enemies.
If you work hard, you will be treated well. But if you do not work hard, you will be punished.
Honor is its own virtue. If we abandon that truth,
every boat that you see get blown up, we save 25,000 on average lives.
Whatever we think we may gain in tactical advantage, we lose a more important part of ourselves.